Hi everyone and welcome to SEMA. SEMA is a program where we invite an expert to talk about their area of expertise. This week we're lucky to have Yole Raam with us. Yole is an expert in many fields, and today we're going to talk about eco-communities. So welcome to the SEMA, Yole.
Thank you, John. I'm expert only in one field, and that's field of life.
That's quite a large field there, Yole.
It's a big field, but I'm interested only how to support life and to improve life. Either one person or all people on earth, it doesn't matter, but life is my field.
Wonderful. So can you tell me, Yole, what is an eco-community?
What is an eco-community? It's a community of conscious people, conscious in the sense that they have understanding of what they want in their life. Therefore, they look for the people who are similar like them and organize living that is according to their preference. So that means they are not drawn by wind. They don't belong to some city that they don't like to belong. They have exercised or they have fulfilled their desire to change wherever they are, whatever they do. They said, okay, I've been belonging to big city, but I decided that this is not proper environment for me, for my kids, for my family. Therefore, I choose to change it. And then they think how they can change it. So that's how most of eco-communities have been organized around the earth in many, many countries.
Right. Is an eco-community a better way of life?
Eco-community is, there are many different eco-communities based on different principles. There are artists who come together and create their eco-community because they want some nice, peaceful place that can be inspiring for them, that they can create their art, either painting or music or poetry or anything else. Or it can be a group of people who want to live healthy, and then they organize their healthy food and healthy exercises and healthy lifestyle. Or a group of people who want to do yoga and they practice all together yoga. Or it can be mixed group of people who are just looking for better lifestyle, like they would call themselves a green living or anything. It doesn't matter what kind of exercise they do, or they just like to be together because they support each other.
That sounds quite neat. Have you formed eco-communities in the past?
Yes, I did. Somewhere late 1980s, 1988, 1989, and At that time, we had one community that was beginning actually of the whole movement. And we made it actually community that people would come from different places in different countries and experience what means eco-living. So the main income of that community was tourism.
So this community was self-sustaining.
Exactly. Most of eco-communities, in order to survive, actually, that system, have to create some internal income. In modern days, since we have a computer, we can do business from anywhere, but not everybody. So people who produce products or give personal services like massage or different kind of treatments, they can organize that also in community and then organize distribution of their service, etc. So it's possible to organize the business life in an eco-community. It is definitely going to be different than in a city, because community is in its essence community of people who know each other, who understand each other, and who are willing to support each other. Therefore, doing business in an eco community can be individual business, like ecopreneur, that organize production of a product like healthy food or healthy juice or things like that, or a person who has some specific skills like marketing, and he can help the producer to sell his product. Therefore, they share the income. So there are many options in an eco village to organize personal income.
Are eco communities the way life used to be before cities became the place to live?
Many people are organizing eco communities around the globe. And most of the communities that I have visited actually were missing some parts of development. They would not be complete. I would say maybe not nice thing, but they've been living kind of in poverty or in a retarded life, like it was like 50 years or 100 years ago.
Mm.
So, and it's not necessary. Every eco community or every eco village is designed by people who come there. And if the designer of eco community is smart enough and see or has a vision, then the community can be very modern, can be very progressive, and can be very attractive for young and old people. The community can be designed for older people or for younger people. I mean, it just matters like an artist when he paints the picture, he can do it any way he wants, anything that is in his psychology. So that's very important to have good designers, so you get really nicely designed eco village where you want. And the big thing is that you choose where you want to go. You can check all eco villages, in neighborhood or in one country, and then you say, oh, I like the best this organization. So we don't have a really stereotype that eco village has to be one way or the other way. It's just artistic design of people who are putting eco village together. And in most communities, we really want to do that because we don't want to have one designer who made it according to his picture of the beauty. We actually get a group of people who are going to live in the village, and we discuss and find out the best solutions that will fulfill desire of every member of community. And that's really, really attractive.
So why would the person watching this video now want to live in an eco community?
Eco community is not probably for everybody, but there are people who came to the level of realizing that the life in big cities do not fit them well. They would like to have fresh air, or they care about air, they care about water, and we know that water in the city is not good, and there are many pollutants and many toxic chemicals in the water. We know that there are many toxic chemicals in the air in every city. It's not a new thing. We know that educational system doesn't bring education that many families want for their kids. It doesn't train them to be real great leaders and healthy, and especially doesn't train them to be happy, doesn't train them how to organize in the future good families. And many young couples find out that raising kids in a big city, it's actually not happy thing, especially not for the health of their kid that they love so much and they would do anything for that new baby or child. So that was my reason that I actually try to find always place out of big cities, because I don't want my kids to grow in a big city.
Yes.
Not because big city is not nice, because kids get sick and get all kinds of social undesired influences that are not healthy for their future. So that's reason for some people to go to eco village and create their own educational system that can be actually much more advanced than anything they can find around.
Well, those are pretty enticing reasons why someone would go to and live in an eco community. For entertainment, some people may think that living in an eco-community is boring because you just spend all day digging in the dirt. If you can give us an example of a typical day, how what you do is from when you wake up to when you go to sleep, what sort of activities would be available?
So an eco community has life that is organized by members of the community, and that again comes to their personal creativity and desire to be involved in community life. Most of people actually love to be in the community because it's made by their friends. Because when I make eco community, I invite my friends to come with me. They say, why you would not live here? It's much better than anywhere else. So that means we are surrounded by friends, and being surrounded by friends, that means we want to communicate. We want to spend some time together. And of course, starting from morning and organizing exercises, a gym or outside or yoga or anything else that we can think of, and then organizing our business. Business in eco community is slightly different because you have many people that are willing to come and support you in the business with their skills. Of course, we do share our income, but that's reasonable. Why not? If somebody helps me in the business, we should share an income. And that means doing business is not boring and not so much pressure because you have a lot of support. And it's more difficult to fail because eco community doesn't have one business. It's not good actually to have only one business like agriculture eco community and do only produce. What if the weather goes bad and all crop is destroyed? Then everybody is in trouble. Therefore, we diversify eco communities with different businesses, starting from computer services that we can do, on computer, either design or marketing or anything else that we do through computer, and then through different spa activities, tourist activities, courses, organizing different events that are happening in community, and of course producing health food products and providing services. So this is the variety of things that we will do during the day. And then of course we don't like to work much. So at the end of the day, in the afternoon, we do some exercises again, yoga or meditation or anything else that people would like. Or they do some veggie barbecue or chicken or anything, And then since we have usually in eco villages a lot of kids, for many people that's reason to come in eco village, then we organize some activities like evening presentations. Kids show what they know or what they have learned to do in the day. Do they learn some new songs or guitar playing or some piano playing or anything else? And they recite the poems that they've written and maybe create some little theater, etc. So there are always a lot of activities where actually not one person enjoys, but the whole community, because they are watching their friends, their kids presenting and growing together. And it's a very healthy environment actually for development, not only of kids, but the whole families and the whole community.
Right.
That's why I feel it's always full of activities. It's not boring to be there.
If someone has a job at the moment, they've got a 40-hour-a-week job. If they wish to live in an eco community, they'd have to give up that job and lose that regular income to join the village. Then their income would have to change their income stream, I guess. So they'd have to adapt to an eco-community type system. So would they need to be internet-based to have an income, or would they rely on collective income from the community with tourism or some other income stream?
It's organization of a community, how the community organizes itself, their economic life,
yes,
and how strong the community or intelligent community is to allow other people to come in. So there are two ways. One way is that the new member of community has to prepare. Like we work for the whole year and then we go for a month on a vacation. So we collect money. So
Okay.
the same way we have to prepare to move to an eco community. We have to talk to a manager of eco community and say, okay, I would like to come. How much is the house? Can I rent the house? Or, you know, short-term renting or long-term, or buying the house, or rent to buy. So there are different options. And then he says, my skills are this, this, and this. I can do these things. Do you need this kind of qualifications? Do you have any business that can use my skills? So then the manager of a community knows everybody there, and he says, oh, I will check with the owner of this business or owner of that business. So even if you don't have your own business, you will be able to fit in somebody else's business and continue working with them. And of course, as soon as you're contributing, you get part of income for yourself. So you will have some income. So that's how we organize usually in eco communities, that new members, if they don't have their own business, they can join somebody else's business who is ready, for example, to expand or needs some help and works too much in the day. So he needs somebody to share the load of his work.
Okay.
So it's possible. It's always possible to organize.
So it's not so scary then. It can be done gently. You can approach the manager of an eco community and then just discuss the matter with them. And
yeah, this is what is done in eco communities that I create. I cannot say for other eco communities because they have different organizing style, and that means that each community has their own rules. And then that's why we have to approach the community that we like and say, okay, how I can be a member, and then you will find the different rules that they have, and according to that you make your choice, which community is most attractive to you, and then you go there. But these are different levels of choices. One level is, you know, that the community is situated in nice place. Then it's good to be near some city that you can get some city supplies, etc. Then you have to have organization in a community for kids education, for health, for buying some items that you need, etc. So each community, according to their level of intelligence and knowledge, organizes itself, and that's why we have to choose what fits our standards or criteria.
I was going to touch on that just a little bit later, but we'll might as well go through it, talk about this now. Do you think that an eco community could give some people a feeling of isolation because they're away from the larger cities? They're in a small community. I'm not sure that they'd have their own car so they can get into the city or go to a town nearby for getting supplies, or that they need to rely on a community supplied delivery system. I'm not. How isolated would a community be?
So it depends of organization of the people who have organized the community in the beginning. The communities can be very insulated, like few hours drive from bigger city.
Yes.
But it's very rare actually, just because of the reason you mentioned. Most of communities are looking to be near bigger cities, but still in nice place. So that means not too far, but far enough so that you have a healthy environment. And then the matter of community organization is if they want to have their own supply, or if the nearest bus is near, then we have usually community vehicles that can go back and forth, many times a day, and get people who are coming to community from the nearest bus station and bring them there, etc. So it's organization always. It's not really difficult. And in the beginning, maybe within a month or two, people may feel a little strange because they are used to live in big city, etc. But after a few months, they go to the city and stay for a month, and they feel so unpleasant, and they feel they want to come back to that little community, because then they can start realizing the difference. Without having experience, it's hard to understand how beautiful it can be, how uplifting and how much energy and health we get from being in nice places. So what we usually provide for people who are not clear if they want to live in eco community or not, we provide their weekend visits, and then like summer or holiday visits when they spend a couple of weeks there, and then they start feeling what it looks like being in the community. And then after a few visits, they make their mind if they really want to come there or not. And that's very natural way, you know, experience something, and then if you like it, you get it. If you don't like it, you don't need to.
Right. And is it again a community organisation? You know, is it management that would organise things like medical or dental care for the people living in the community?
So the community, at least the communities that I organize, always have so-called spa with different health-related services. And that spa has, or regeneration center, that has main point is to reduce incidence of illness. That means we don't want to get sick at all. That's the main purpose of actually organizing these communities, that we reduce access of sickness. And usually in those spa centers, we have, if it is one of the biggest income points of the eco village, that means we have a spa tourism organized, that a lot of people are coming, then we have organized as integrative medicine. That means we have a classical medical doctor, and we have like traditional medical doctor, like Chinese medicine or Ayurveda or other types of medical doctors that are based on traditional knowledge. That way we can provide both services. In emergencies, we have usually modern medicine, and for chronic diseases, we have traditional medicine that has been proven that is much more effective. That way we really don't need to worry about, except if some people are really very sick, then we don't recommend to go far from the doctor, but these are rare cases.
Okay. And of course, with medical conditions, it's always better to nip things in the bud before they grow to very, very serious conditions like the diabetes or heart problems.
Yeah.
So that makes sense. Okay, now I'm going to start talking about education. This must be in a lot of people's minds, people that have got young families or planning young families, and they might be concerned about well, when they enter an eco community, I guess they'll be forfeiting national standards of papers that they would sit in schools and universities in the cities. So what would an eco community offer in the way of education for children?
According to the size of eco community, that means according to number of people who are living there and number of kids, we organize different levels of education. So people who are members of eco community, mothers and fathers, most of them usually have some profession. Therefore, they have basic knowledge that is necessary to teach kids. And some of the members of communities are teachers by profession. So an organizer of an eco community actually intentionally organizes number of profile of different people who are going to be members, so that different services can be supplied to the members, like teachers and doctors and electricians and plumbers, etc. So we actually, when organize community, it's not just without any thinking. We think what kind of professions we need, definitely, and then we are looking for this kind of people to be members of community. The same way when we think about the school, according to number of people and kids in the village, we organize education for kids. Is it just first 4 years of education or 8 years or 12 years? It depends on number of people there. but it can be organized, and teachers are educated teachers, except that they have a little bit more knowledge that brings more natural education to kids. So that means they get all knowledge that is required by government, and it can be organized. In many communities have done that already, that teacher is organized, registers the educational organization that get the credentials to give, certain level of degrees that kids go through. But we call usually community education is more than a school, and therefore kids have actually the whole day education. It's not only when they're in school. School education is much more relaxed than in many schools, but it's not restricted to only 4 or 8 hours in the school, because when they finish the class they have practice, and the practice is all the time and everywhere, because every neighbor who knows something, he works with kids one day, and then the other neighbor works with kids the next day, and one is engineer, one is doctor, one is the wood carving artist, and one is the painter, etc. So kids get actually influenced by many people with different professions, and eventually they are capable of choosing their own profession, because they try everything and they get education and knowledge from all those people who are in the village. And that way, the education is much more natural, not forceful. So kids don't get so much stress because they're dealing with neighbors. Who is afraid of neighbor? He is not going to give me bad grade. But neighbor is very much interested to teach you something that is useful for you. And it can be compared with the classical education in the schools. The quality of education that kids get themselves, from the neighbors, it's much higher, and it has been proven. We have already many villages around the world that do that. And when we get those kids, they're so talented. They always do some art or play music, or they know to do this and that, and they're skillful in personal relations. They don't have so much stress. They are so much more advanced, actually, than people who go to highest schools. So that's my experience, and as an educational professional, I believe that that's really something that is future of our education. We know that many universities have big problems to hire more kids, and they are going down because there is so much education online, and you can get degrees different ways. People don't want to go to the schools anymore.
Right.
So it's a future. And online, definitely, we cannot learn practical things. Therefore, that practical education that is received in the village is irreplaceable. It can be done only in this kind of communities, and the rest they can get online. They don't need to go to any other place. Of course, we send our kids. This is according to desire of a family, parents might have desire that their kid is educated in Yale or some other place. Of course, when they finish, their primary school or secondary school there, they can be sent to other place, and they can all easily go through the tests, that are required, and get that level of entering the universities. Mm. And we organize also this kind of education for the tests, so they can be accepted at other universities. So there is really no boundaries for kids who are growing in eco-village. They only have benefits, I would say.
Listening from what you're saying now, it really highlights what I felt when I left school. I realized how little I knew, and since leaving school, I've learned much more than when I was at school, and certainly in skills that are more useful. And that's by rubbing shoulders with the smart people, taking on personal mentors. And I guess this Eco community will be a similar type of thing where, children are led by experts who do know the children's names, unlike many schools, and they do have a genuine interest. and they're not hobbled by an education system where they have to be rigid in the way that they present the information. Because what clothing fits me may not fit, or almost certainly won't fit other people. So why make the education system different from clothing? So what you say does make a lot of sense. But one thing which I'm not sure on, like an eco community, it's eco, so it's friendly to the environment. But what about like internet access, or some of the modern electronic gizmos that children like to play with, or even grown-ups like to play with? Is there like a cell phone and such like? Do eco communities have the facility of like a cell phone facility, or a watching TV? I'm saying some evils here, but I'd like to hear what actually happens in an eco community.
It's excellent reminder. Actually, we can talk about that. It's always on the level of organization. That means the people who organize Eco Village, they organize, if it is close community, that means supporting each other. You can find many eco communities that live actually like regular villages, but they call it eco community. Everybody has TV and separate living. They don't know each other, but I wouldn't call it really eco community. It's just like any other community. It doesn't have the principles of eco life. They even don't know about saving the nature or supporting the. So when we talk about well-organized eco community, then we think about the future of kids and our own health, and that's one of the reasons why we go into eco communities. And right now, one of the biggest problems that we have with our younger generation and ourselves, of course, because we spend so many hours a day really glued, sticked for the cell phone and checking those messages every few minutes. And it is kind of addiction. But it's not only addiction, it's actually well-known fact how much destructive influence has this electromagnetic radiation to our brains, and how much it reduces our creativity, ability to solve the problems, ability to create new things, invent new things, ability to dream something new and good and better. Therefore, in eco villages that I organize, I usually create so many activities during the day and outside, so that we don't have time to use our cell phone too much. And then we have actually a number of classes for the kids. And some of the classes are actually learning computer programs, making apps, and making robotics, using the programming for designing new machines. But then these are just classes during which you're learning how to use effectively these devices, not becoming addicted to devices. So that means we know what is the place of a computer. We use the benefits of the computer, but we organize environments so that we do not become addicts of the computer and sit all the day. And that's also benefit of Eco Village, because we can create our program of activities. So every family has their own, working time and education time and recreation time, etc. And then we have time when we communicate together or having dinner together, etc., making parties and celebrations. So that way, when we are alone in the city, we usually click the TV or check, start checking messages that are endless on our Facebook or WeChat or any other media that we use. So now we have actually human beings to entertain us that is much healthier, socially and emotionally, much more uplifting and developing who we really are. So I believe that this kind of setup of Eco Village is really supporting human growth and expansion of happiness. That's very important.
So, in many countries, they don't have landlines. They rely on cell phone for the sole means of communicating with your parents. or you know, let's say you've got elderly parents and they're not members of this eco community, and so they're the only way that you can talk with them. So would that be a problem with an eco community?
I couldn't hear the whole question
Sorry.
because it was breaking, but what I heard is if it is problem to communicate with parents and
Yes.
grandparents,
Mm.
that's exactly what eco community brings back. Our distorted families that have been actually broken by industrial economic system set up. We want to bring back to natural setup, to original quality of life that a family had in the past. And that's provided in good setup of eco-village. Because we have parents, we have kids that are close. Our kids go out of house to go their classes, to get their classes next house. So we can look through the window and see them all the time. they run out and come and ask us something and then go back to the class. So this is the pleasure of actually having kids always around and supporting them and being their teacher also. Because in eco communities, we exchange the roles. One day in a week, one family can take care of kids and give them education on something that they are experts at. And then the next day would be another family and then another family. So everybody is fulfilling that role of giving to their kids. And you know, who can care more than a parent for making their kids better and teaching them what is really useful for their life, and actually imprinting or putting to them all their experience they have gained during whole their life that will benefit their kids. So this is really great thing. And if we are lucky to have grandparents, you know, as a members of community, that's even better, because grandparents, if they are put into care facilities like the homes for elderly, are really disconnected from their family, and they feel so lonely and neglected. And it's big pain at the old age to be left by their kids outside of the family. And we have excuse, I have to work, I'm busy, etc. But in eco communities, there is no place for that excuse. We can have house next to each other and just live normally. And most of the time, kids will be taken care by grandparents if we are working and we are busy. So it's really coming back to original setup of life that belongs to human families, to grow together and support each other, because we are here in reality to support each other, especially families. We are long time friends. We come again and again to each other to support, to grow and evolve as a human beings.
Okay. If I was living in an eco community and my parents weren't, and my parents are quite elderly, how would I communicate with them?
We will create, like usual, events and celebrations and things like that when we invite them. Then we'll make something for them. Come and enjoy a massage or treatment or you know, things that they would like. You have to know what they like. You invite them, and you try to make excuses as often as possible, so they keep coming, you know, and going, coming and going, and eventually they start thinking, oh, maybe this is better what they're doing, and then they join you eventually. So this is because you're giving them everything good, everything this is good for them. And eventually they start appreciating that, even if they have different lifestyle and habits. Eventually, as the age goes up and they feel my kids are happy there, why I don't join them and support them to be happy together.
But what if the parents live in a different country? This is the crux of the matter. See, then there's a problem. But if they don't, if I still have like Skype access, on my computer in an eco
Mhm.
community. You know,
Yeah, of course, we can communicate with anybody, from eco community or any other place in eco community. We will have our own internet, obviously, to do our business there and do education of kids.
okay.
Uh, the only point is that we don't want to misuse it or being addict of the
Mm.
electronic devices. That's the main reason why we are restricting the use. But I mean, restricting intentionally or by ourselves. But communicating with parents and anybody else, it's normal. And actually inviting parents to visit us for a month or two, once in a year from other country or other continent, it's fine. And eventually it may happen, that they join you. Because I know the cases, when people get really old and lonely and they feel, that you're fine and place that you are living is nice, they will join us. I believe and I've seen this kind of cases in the past in different countries. It's a matter of personal relation, how well we communicate with them, and because at the end they will always join us.
It sounds quite enticing. Do you have any eco communities planned for the future? And if so, where?
Actually, currently we are just working on one piece of land that is outside of Shenzhen and outside of Guangzhou. And it's about 1 hour and a half to the city, but it's still in beautiful area that is like 40 kilometers around. There is no pollutants. And
Wow.
the air is quite good, and they have their own mountain water. So I'm considering that place, and just soon we actually, within next 10 days, I will be talking with the owner. She already has a desire to develop eco village, so and she is looking for somebody who is capable of doing a good one. So I think we will create agreement there, and we will have maybe by September, maybe something. If we are lucky and put all the pieces of the puzzle together, by September we can start inviting people.
Now, you've designed several eco communities. This one that you have planned coming up, if things work well, would you plan to live there yourself with your family?
Yes, this is probably first eco community in China, but I don't believe this is our last community. I intend to make one eco community at least. I mean, this specific wisdom design in at least on each continent, and then I would that eco community would be education center for leaders of other eco communities that I would like to have in every country. So it would be like a school for making or designing a program for people who would be creating eco villages in the future. So it is going to be opening for people who would like to live that way but do not know how, the way how to learn it, and opening for them to get a business that is business that they like to do. So it is double win. You have income and you do what you like to do.
Okay. Would it best suit someone that can do their business online? Do you think for people for the members of this community? Let's say they've got a business which they can trade or sell some product online. Would it suit that sort of person because then they can do it anywhere? They don't have to live in the city.
That's ideal place for people who are capable to work by computer, because they will be in nature and they will be able to regenerate faster from negative influences of sitting there, for 8 hours next to the computer. So it's really ideal for this kind of people who generate money online and live in a nice place.
Okay. Now, how much money would one need to move into an average eco-community? Is it a large commitment? Do you have to sell everything that you currently own to enter a community, or can you move all your worldly possessions in and just live as you did before, but on a more healthy basis?
That's a very good question. I've seen some eco-communities, modern eco-communities, that require huge capital to join. And there are very simple eco-communities that just say, just come and build your house. And if you have more money, you will build a bigger house and with more expensive material. If you don't have enough money, you will build smaller house with cheaper material. So there is a freedom. There is the big span of opportunities. But in our case, our community, we will have a certain level of quality of houses, of housing. And we will also have support team who will help people who are coming if they want to build house, but they don't know how. Because I know how to build, but there are many people who do not know. So we will create a team of people who will be capable of building new houses for people who are coming and have, restricted or bigger income. And according to their desire, we will help them to build their home so that it's not much. Because with natural materials, houses can be within a few $1,000s. Small ones, for one person. If you have family, then it's more. But it's very easy actually. And if you are preparing yourself within some time, so you put some money on side, and you get extra, something to sell that you don't need, then it's not like $100,000, definitely. No, with few dozen of thousands of dollars, you can create a house in eco village that is very reasonable for living, with all amenities that you need, like bathroom, shower, and everything nice. I mean, this is the completely different team if we go into solar and water heating, etc. But these are all things that we will have in our eco village, and it will be designed according to the number of people. Eco village can provide hot water, because then we can put the system that can heat the water for all the village. Of course, a renewable system of energy, not electrical, and also can create electrical energy from sun or wind, etc., and provide for all houses. So these are many little variations that we can develop according to the number of people and their income that they have or they want to invest into such a house. So there are all different levels that can be supported in the community.
In the community,
so that means people without money can get to the community. Sometimes, wealthier people who have business and who are moving with the business there, they can build, one house or two houses and then rent one house to new people who are coming there. So they pay monthly a little bit for the rent until they get situated better, etc. So these are also options that are present in many eco-villages.
Do the houses have like a patch of their own land that they use for gardening or playing on, or is it all one shared patch of land?
It's a design of a community, because there are communities who do together agriculture. There are communities who provide food already. They have like 5 families or 10 families that would like to do production of food. That's their business. So those families do production of food for a whole village, and then everybody else exchanges the value with them, either cash or either in services or goods that they are producing themselves. So these are different options that it's just a decision of the members of the community. For example, we start community now in September, and we get 10 families or 20 families that want to move. So then we sit together and say, okay, which way do you want to do it? If you're busy doing your computer work, you won't be able to do your production of food. You can do it maybe in weekends or here and there. Then we have to have somebody So we organize production of food for the whole community or for a number of families that would like to do that. So that's how usually we do. If people want a patch of land to do their own garden, of course, it's all designed by us for us. The members of community design for themselves what they like. And that's how the community is created.
Okay. Do people vote on issues, on community issues?
Yeah, you know, we have meetings and we say, okay, let us develop our community. First, we select the place. Then we select the how we want to organize community, how many buildings, how many members of community we have enough land for. We don't want to be tight in community that you don't have place to turn around, and you know, we make enough space for everybody, for gardens and play gardens, and, you know, central place of the community where people will meet and have celebrations, etc. And then we think, you know, what kind of sewage we want, what kind of electrical system we want, what kind of, you know. So we design everything ourselves, and different members may have different opinions, but there is a system, a procedure that we lead those meetings so that at the end we make everybody satisfied.
Okay. So when you're choosing a patch of land, Yole, what's important? What do you look for? Yole, did you hear the message? You froze up on me. I asked the question, when you look at a prospective patch of land, what do you look for?
It's again breaking. I couldn't hear the
sorry.
question.
The question was, when you want to form a community and you're looking for some land, what do you look for? Mm-hmm. What type of place do you look for?
Very good. So we use all wisdom of the past communities, and we have big checklist of requirements that make a place good. So one few most important things are that the place is healthy for living. That means that there is sufficient pure air, pure water, and the soil is not poisoned, so that we can grow our own healthy food. These are three most important requirements. But then we start looking at other practical things. Does it have nearby electricity? Does it have nearby water, sewage? How near is the biggest road nearby? Where is the station of the bus, of the train? How far is the airport? How far is the next city, etc.? Is there school? Where is the hospital, etc.? So we look at all these points until we find out what is the best environment. You know, especially when we look at the place. Is it place with enough winds? Is it place with enough rain? Is it, you know, there is enough sun? And things like that. So there are many criteria that we use to decide on the land. And we can go through that when you come to the village. To start designing, you will learn all those criteria yourself, and we can then visit the place, etc. So it's a long process that we go through, but that's why we feel healthy and happy when we get to that place, because we really choose it consciously. It's not just, you know, oh, I got a piece of land, let us use it for living. We make that piece of land really special.
It sounds quite enticing. It ticks a lot of the boxes, because we all know just how addicted people are to technology. They can walk along and look at their cell phones and be totally oblivious to everything that's happening around them, and they can even walk into traffic and get into dangerous situations. And so this is a community which is, some people may say, old-fashioned, I guess, but it's more feeling, I guess. It's more natural, I guess you could say. You know, it's back to how communities used to be. Would you go along with that, Joe? Would you agree with that statement? I seem to be losing you. The internet connection is not very good. Did you hear that?
Yes, I heard half of the question I heard.
I'll repeat the question. I was just saying how, many people would realize, would have seen how people are addicted to their phones. They walk along and they become like zombies looking at their phone, and they'd be totally oblivious to what's happening around them. And it's not really participating in life. And when you watch TV, you're not participating in life. You're watching something which is being created by someone else. So you're no longer a creator. But an eco-village seems to be a place where someone can be creative. And I was just wondering whether you agreed with that statement.
Yeah, these communities are created only to provide conditions for normal human life. That word normal means a lot. Normal means back to nature, back to laws of nature. And when we say nature, it's everything that surrounds us on this earth and beyond this earth galactic system, because all this intelligence of universe guides the life of the whole universe, life of galaxies, and life of people on this little planet. So to become who we are, we have to get out of destructive system that doesn't allow us to be who we are. We are not living our lives in the cities. We are so bombarded. This is like an artist who wants to paint and somebody comes and pulls him always from one side and from the other side and pours his colors, and he cannot do the work that he is supposed to do. So this eco-village that we are creating right now is actually to get us out of trouble and provide the conditions so we can be who we are, to live our life that we are granted, that we are provided to, so that we use our time here on earth usefully and develop ourselves to the brilliant human beings that we are.
Well, in city life, people don't even know who their neighbours are. They maybe just see them, if they might even extend themselves to a wave, but it wouldn't go much beyond that. But I guess in the community, everyone's there and everyone's communicating. and yeah. And I guess also with children, because in a city there's not many places to play now. All the parklands have been covered with concrete, buildings, shops, or playgrounds that have been made for playing by adults. Don't really know what children really enjoy doing, which is just going wild. And so if they've got, especially if they've got, other children to play with, that could be quite a burden taken away from their parents, because the children just go out and they just spend the energy outside. That must be quite wonderful.
There is a beautiful book that collects hundreds of different research from scientists who have done research of children's development. And the book is titled The Last Child in the Wilderness. And it explains how much people are losing their inner potentials and strengths and creativities and values while living in this primitively designed urban environments. Primitively designed because the logic, the intelligence that is put into buildings, into the systems, is very low quality towards the intelligence of nature, towards intelligence of forest, of mountain, of a river. When we look at the beauty of the flower, how much is intelligence inside of a flower, of a plant, of a tree? And when we look at the constructed building from concrete and steel, how much is their intelligence? Very little. So we live in the environment that has very little intelligence, and that restricts us from growing, because we are not capable touching the nature. We don't know the soil. We don't know the water in the creek. We don't know the texture of the leaf when we touch. So that's one of the reasons why then I didn't want my kids to grow in the cities, in the urban environment. They lose the intelligence that they are granted. And I don't want that. I want my kids to be happy, to enjoy the beauty of life on earth, because life can be really beautiful here. We just have to learn how to get out of these outdated systems that do not bring happiness to humans. And that's the main reason why we do our villages.
So why were cities created in the first place if they're not so fantastic for us?
So if we look at history of development of Earth civilization, we are getting to the point when we have industrialization.
Yes.
When the whole thing is getting industrialized, and we have inventions of machines, and we have all those people who have been working in those manufacturing factories laid off, and in one place they need a lot of workers to work with machines, etc. So they start creating big communities where the workers can live. They can serve the industrial owners to create their products and sell and get the benefits of their production. So, and we see that's not the beginning, but that's the current system or setup for distribution of wealth. People who are creating wealth or value are not gaining the same proportion of value they have created. It is disproportionate. One person or few people are getting majority, and then majority gets the minimum of the hourly wage, etc. So the system by itself is not healthy, and it's very well known. It's not that I invented, but everybody who studies deeply economy, he knows that the system is made to fulfill needs of a few.
So the people living in the cities live in the pollution, have substandard food, fed forced media entertainment, and live in small houses for the purpose of working so that someone else can get the true profits of their work. Hey, that sounds quite illogical. Why would someone not want to live in an eco community if they're currently in a city, having to catch that bus each morning to spend an hour commuting to work in a job that they may not like, so that they can pay the mortgage in for a house which is in the city, which is small and again has got the smell of the city and the noise. I'm actually struggling, Yole, to think of an advantage of city life. I am. Because, I mean, children love stimulation. Because they're not getting stimulation in a city, they're turning to other things, and that's what TV or computer games. But it's not interacting with life, and it's certainly not creating. And humans were designed to create. We were given brains and we've got to exercise our brains. We don't exercise them by playing games And so in an eco community, you can exercise your brains. You can go out and have your fun. You can actually meet people and talk to real people in 3D. Gosh, it's very, very enticing. It's quite exciting, I thought. Wow.
We call it mass illusion and a vicious circle of dependency. This system has created dependency. So if you don't pay mortgage, you lose this. If you don't pay insurance, you lose this, etc. So it's all on fear, on scarcity and fear. This is the main motivation or main principle that is in the big communities. And eco-communities do not have that. We believe that nature is so abundant that we have everything that we need and more than we need. So we don't need to grab and don't need to compete. We just share what we produce.
Now we've come to the end of our Sama, Yole. For someone to go from a city where they may feel that's their home because that's all they've experienced, to move from the city to an eco-community is quite a large step. Can you give me one sentence why it's so important to let go of what they're familiar with and experience a real life? If you can just give me a summary of someone may be watching us now and thinking, well, should I, shouldn't I, shouldn't I? What would you like to tell that person?
If you have never seen the light, you cannot know the beauty. If you've been living in the darkness all your life, you think the life is darkness. That's natural. And most of people do that. Therefore, I do not recommend people to move immediately from city life to eco-village. I recommend them to come, visit, try, and go through the change step by step. Not everybody is ready to do it because the habits are very strong that we develop over many years. And if the time came that you make a change, then make it comfortable and think and plan and do it really well. So that's my recommendation. But the light is waiting for you and joy is waiting for you.
Thank you for your time, Yole. Thanks for coming on to this, Sam. I really love this talk. And truth be known, anyone who's watching, I may just decide to live in an eco-community myself. From what Yole's been saying, it's filling a gap in my life, and I'm always the person who likes to talk to people, who likes to interact, and I like to think. And for the majority of my life, I've been paying off mortgages, paying insurances just in case something happens, and I haven't had the true community support that one would experience in an eco-community. So there we have it. Thank you so much for watching, and Yole, thank you once again for coming onto this program. Bye, everybody.
All the best.